You just mentioned again with anosognosia, it doesn't tend to go away even if you're in treatment. But you also have pointed out that you can have insight into other things. It's not just insight into whether you're sick or not. And you have that whole chapter in your book about the surprise that can happen over time with insight. So can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, there's two surprises really. One is that people can develop insight into when I take medication, things get better generally. Although when people have anosognosia, what I often hear is, well, things are better. It has nothing to do with the medication. So again, be careful not to push that. But with time and consistent treatment, people do tend to develop awareness of able to work. Maybe the medication helped with that. I'm sleeping better. I'm less anxious. I'm not hearing voices, and that gives me some relief. The awareness of those kinds of symptoms and difficulties improving occurs over time. And then the other thing is with consistent treatment, a couple of years out or longer, we see people, the anosognosia start to remit, and people develop actual awareness. So with consistent treatment, someone's in treatment for 6 months, 3 months, a year, the anosognosia tends not to improve. Once you get to the 2-year mark and beyond, in a pretty significant portion of people, it improves. They start to gain awareness. So that's a surprise I don't think I did talk about in the book yet, because that's new. That's very new research, which will be in the next edition of the book.
Yeah, no, that's very hopeful news.
Yeah.
And that was, because that's one thing as a family member, if you're thinking, oh, they'll never have any insight. There's so many misconceptions too about severe mental illness. This idea, like, if you have schizophrenia, it's only going to get worse. And there's all those kind of negative beliefs people have.
They're
And
myths. They're myths. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it's not a deteriorating illness. That's what I was told when my brother was first diagnosed. The research on that's abundantly clear. In
mhm,
fact, over time, people tend to become a little less symptomatic, whether or
mhm.
not they're in treatment.
Yeah, I think those are things are so hopeful, and it's not common knowledge at all.
But the other thing, it is hopeful to think, given what I just said, well, maybe my loved one, when they're in treatment for a couple of years or longer, will develop awareness, develop insight. That is hopeful. But don't wait for that. Because if you can strengthen the relationship, you can influence their behavior and acceptance of treatment, like happened with my brother. I mean, we were very, very close the rest of his life, nearly 20 years. He had a girlfriend. He had 2 volunteer jobs. He went to a clubhouse. It's a social setting for people with mental illness, and they run it to hang out with those mentally ill people. He wasn't one of them. He never believed he had schizophrenia. He's not one of those people that developed awareness after 2 years of treatment. That's, it's only a proportion, about a third of people. So he had a great life, and we had a wonderful relationship again. And he never understood he had schizophrenia, and I was okay with that. It's a symptom, it's not his fault.